I found her in our bedroom closet, standing in front of the mirror in a wedding dress I'd never seen before. Not mine. Hers. The lace was fresh. The beading still caught the afternoon light like it had been sewn yesterday. She didn't hear me come in. She was too busy adjusting the veil, her fingers trembling against the silk like she was preparing for something sacred. We've been married for 6 years. 6 years of shared coffee mugs and Sunday groceries and arguments about whose turn it was to fold the laundry. 6 years of her falling asleep on my shoulder during movies. 6 years of me thinking I knew her. But in that moment, staring at the back of that dress, at the way it fit her perfectly, perfectly, I realized I didn't know her at all. I checked the tag later, after she left the room in a panic, after the stumbling excuses and the tears that didn't quite reach her eyes. Size 4. Her size? Not mine. The dress had been altered. Recently. Professionally. And then I found the receipt. It was tucked inside a showbox at the back of the closet, underneath a pair of heels I'd never seen her wear. The date was 2 weeks ago. The name on the order form wasn't hers. It was his. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. Because part of me already knew what was coming. And part of me wasn't ready to hear her say it out loud. So I waited. And I watched. And I learned the truth in pieces. I met Emily at a farmer's market on a rainy October morning, the kind of morning where the sky cries slow and steady, and the world smells like wet earth and regret. She was standing under a white tent, holding a bundle of lavender like it was something precious. Something sacred. Her hair clung to her temples in damp strands. Her sweater, cream-colored, oversized, had a coffee stain on the sleeve that she hadn't bothered to hide. She looked soft in a way that made the world feel quieter. Like all the noise around us, the vendors shouting prices, the children splashing in puddles, the hum of a city waking up, had faded into nothing. I remember thinking she looked like someone who had never hurt anyone. God, I was wrong. But in that moment, all I saw was the lavender. The rain. The way her lips curved when she caught me staring. I walked over without thinking. Offered her my umbrella. She looked up at me, eyes the color of honey, and smiled. I like the rain, she said. Her voice was soft. Almost a whisper. Like she was sharing a secret. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just stood there, holding the umbrella over both of us, watching the rain bead and roll off the fabric. Most people don't, I finally said. She tilted her head, studying me. Most people are afraid of getting wet. But rain doesn't hurt you. It just washes things away. I didn't know it then, but that was the first lie. Rain doesn't wash things away. It just makes everything heavier. We talked for an hour. Maybe more. I lost track of time. She told me she worked in event planning, weddings, corporate galas, the kind of things that required her to make other people's dreams come true. I told her I was a graphic designer, that I spent most of my days alone in front of a screen, building worlds no one would ever step inside. She said she loved that. Loved how art could make people feel seen. And when she said it, I felt seen. For the first time in years. We exchanged numbers. She texted me that night. Just one line. Asterisk, thanks for the umbrella. And the conversation. Asterisk. I stared at that message for 10 minutes before I replied. 3 months later, we were inseparable. She'd show up at my apartment unannounced, carrying takeout containers and that same soft smile. We'd eat on the floor because my furniture was sparse and mismatched, and she'd laugh and say it felt more real that way. More honest. We'd talk until sunrise. About dreams. About fears. About the small, fragile things people only share when they think they've found someone safe. She told me about her mother, who had died when she was 16. How she still set a place for her at Thanksgiving out of habit. How sometimes she'd wake up and forget, just for a second, that she was gone. I told her about my father, who left when I was 12. How I used to wait by the window every Friday, thinking he'd come back. How I stopped waiting when I turned 18. She cried when I told her that. Real tears. The kind that aren't performative. Or at least, I thought they were real. She said I was the first person who made her feel like she didn't have to perform. Like she could just be. I believed her. God, I believed every word. We got engaged on a bridge at sunset, 6 months after that rainy morning at the farmer's market. There was no crowd. No performance. No elaborate plan. Just us and the quiet promise that we'd build something real. I got down on one knee, hands shaking, and pulled out a ring I'd spent 3 months saving for. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't flashy. But it was hers. "Emily," I said, my voice breaking. "I don't have much. But I have this. And I have me. And if that's enough." She didn't let me finish. She pulled me up, kissed me hard, and whispered, "It's more than enough." I slipped the ring onto her finger, and she stared at it like it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. And for a moment, standing on that bridge with the sun setting behind us, I thought we were untouchable. I thought love was enough. I thought I knew her. But love, I learned, isn't about knowing someone. It's about believing the version of them they show you. And Emily? She was a master at showing me exactly what I wanted to see. The wedding was small. Intimate. Just our closest friends and family in a backyard decorated with string lights and wildflowers. She wore a simple white dress, nothing like the one I'd find years later, and walked down the aisle barefoot, smiling like she meant it. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the rest of my life, . And for a while, it was. Or at least, I thought it was. But looking back now, I wonder if she was ever really there. Or if she was just practicing. Testing the role. Seeing how long she could play the part before the mask slipped. I wonder if she loved me at all. Or if I was just convenient. A placeholder. A warm body to fill the space until someone better came along. I'll never know. And maybe that's the worst part. Not the betrayal. Not the lies. But the not knowing. The wondering if any of it was real. If the rain that morning meant anything. If the lavender was just lavender. If her tears were ever anything more than performance. I used to think love was built on trust. But trust, I learned, is just another word for hope. And hope is the cruelest thing you can give someone. Because when it breaks, it doesn't shatter clean. It splinters. And you spend the rest of your life pulling out the pieces. The first 2 years of marriage were gentle. Not perfect. Not the fairy tale people pretend weddings promise. But gentle. Soft around the edges. The kind of quiet love that doesn't announce itself but settles into your bones like warmth. We moved into a small house on the edge of town, the kind with creaky floors and a garden that had been neglected for years. Emily fell in love with it immediately. She said it had good bones. That it just needed someone to care for it. I didn't know she was talking about herself. She insisted on planting the garden herself. Spent entire weekends on her knees in the dirt, fingers stained green, humming songs I didn't recognize. I'd bring her lemonade and sit on the back steps, watching her work, mesmerized by how deeply she could lose herself in simple things. She made everything feel like art. The way she folded cloth napkins for dinner, corners aligned perfectly, edges crisp. The way she arranged our books by color instead of title, creating a rainbow across the living room wall. The way she'd leave little notes in my jacket pockets, small, folded squares of paper with messages written in her looping handwriting. Love you. Don't forget to eat. You're my favorite person. Thank you for choosing me. I kept every single one. They're in a showbox in the closet now. I can't bring myself to throw them away. Even after everything. I built my life around hers. I took fewer freelance projects so I could be home more. Turned down high-paying gigs that required travel. I wanted to be there. To see her in the garden. To cook dinner together. To fall asleep next to her every night. I learned to cook her favorite meals, pasta with too much garlic, roasted vegetables she'd drown in olive oil, lemon tarts that took 3 hours to make. I memorized the way she liked her tea. 2 sugars. No milk. Steeped for exactly 3 minutes. I thought that's what love was. Paying attention. Showing up. Learning the small things that made someone feel known. And she did too. For a while. She'd come home from work and find me at my desk, hunched over my laptop, and she'd wrap her arms around me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. Still working, she'd whisper. Almost done. Take a break. Come sit with me. And I would. Every time. Because being with her felt more important than anything else. But somewhere in year 3, something shifted. It was subtle at first. Small things I told myself didn't mean anything. She started working later. Traveling more for events. There was always another wedding, another gala, another client who needed her right now star. Her phone was always face down on the table. She stopped leaving notes. I'd ask about her day and get one-word answers. How was the venue walkthrough? Fine. Did the bride like the centerpiece mock-ups? Yeah. Are you okay? Just tired. She was always tired. We stopped eating dinner together. I'd cook, set the table, light candles like we used to, and she'd text me from the car saying she'd already eaten. I'd sit alone at the table, staring at the empty chair across from me, and tell myself it was just a phase. Just stress. Just temporary. But it wasn't. When I'd reach for her hand at night, she'd curl away, murmuring something about being too warm. The bed felt bigger. Colder. I'd lie there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and wonder when us started feeling like me. I tried. God, I tried. I planned date nights, reservations at the restaurant where we had our first anniversary, tickets to the play she'd mentioned wanting to see. She'd cancel last minute. Work emergency. Client crisis. Something that always mattered more than me. I suggested couples therapy. She laughed it off. We're fine, she said, waving a hand like I was being dramatic. We're just busy. This is what marriage is. You work through the boring parts. But it didn't feel boring. It felt like drowning. I bought her flowers once. Lavender. Like the day we met. She thanked me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes and set them on the counter. They wilted there, untouched, until I threw them away a week later. And then there was *Him star. I didn't know his name yet. Didn't have proof. But I felt him in the spaces between us. In the way she'd tilt her phone away when a text came through, angling the screen so I couldn't see. In the new perfume she started wearing, something expensive, floral, nothing like the drugstore body spray she used to use. In the way she'd look past me when I spoke, like I was a ghost she'd learned to live with. I wanted to ask. I wanted to scream. But fear kept me quiet. Because what if I was wrong? What if I accused her of something she wasn't doing and destroyed the fragile thing we still had left? What if she looked at me with that soft, confused expression and said, I don't know what you're talking about? What if I was the problem? So I swallowed it. Let it rot inside me. I watched her come home late, smelling like someone else's cologne. Watched her slip into the shower without kissing me hello. Watched her curl away from me in bed, putting more space between us every night. And I waited. For the proof I didn't want to find. For the moment everything would finally break. For the truth I already knew but couldn't say out loud. Because saying it would make it real. And as long as I stayed quiet, I could pretend we were still okay. That the notes still mattered. That the garden still bloomed. That she still loved me. But deep down, I knew. I'd known for months. I just wasn't ready to admit I'd been sleeping next to a stranger. By year 5, we were roommates. Polite. Functional. Hollow. We existed in the same space but lived in separate worlds. She'd come home late, drop her keys on the counter with a dull clink, and head straight to the shower without a word. I'd be sitting on the couch, pretending to watch TV, waiting for her to say something. Anything. She never did. I'd ask about her day. Always. Like it was a ritual I couldn't break. How was work? Fine. Busy? Yeah. Do you want dinner? I ate. One-word answers. Clipped. Distant. Like I was a telemarketer she was trying to brush off. We stopped eating together. Stopped talking about anything that mattered. The house that used to hum with her laughter, with late-night conversations and inside jokes, became a tomb. Silent. Cold. Suffocating. I tried. God, I tried so hard. I planned date nights, reservations at the Italian place where we celebrated our first anniversary, tickets to the botanical garden she used to love. She'd say yes at first, distracted, scrolling through her phone. And then, the day of, she'd cancel. I'm sorry, babe. Client emergency. Rain check. But there was never a rain check. I suggested couples therapy once, over breakfast. She was buttering toast, not looking at me. I think we should talk to someone, I said carefully. About us. About where we are. She laughed. Not a real laugh. A dismissive one. We're fine, she said, still not looking up. Every couple goes through this. We're just busy. Are we? I asked. Fine? She finally looked at me. Her eyes were flat. Empty. Yes. Stop overthinking. And that was it. Conversation over. I bought her flowers once. A desperate, stupid gesture. Lavender. Like the day we met. Like I could remind her who we used to be. She smiled when I gave them to her. A thin, polite smile. "Thanks," she said. "That's sweet." She set them on the counter and walked away. They sat there for a week, untouched, wilting in the afternoon sun. I finally threw them away when the petals started turning brown and curling inward like they were dying of thirst. Just like me. And then there was him. I didn't know his name yet. Didn't have a face to attach to the feeling. But I felt him everywhere. In the way she'd tilt her phone away when a text came through, angling the screen just enough so I couldn't see. In the way she'd smile at her phone, small, secret smiles she never gave me anymore. In the new perfume she started wearing, something expensive and unfamiliar, a scent that clung to her skin and made her smell like someone I didn't know. I'd catch her sometimes, standing in front of the mirror, adjusting her blouse, smoothing her hair. She'd spend 20 minutes getting ready to go to a client meeting. She never used to care that much. And when she came home, she'd smell like cologne. Not hers. Someone else's. A sharp, woody scent that made my stomach turn. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe beside me. She'd curl away, always away, facing the wall. There was a space between us in the bed now. A foot. Maybe more. A chasm I couldn't cross. I wanted to ask. I wanted to reach over, shake her, scream, "Who is he?" But fear kept me quiet. Because what if I was wrong? What if I ruined everything by being paranoid? By letting my insecurity destroy the last shreds of whatever we had left? What if she looked at me with disgust and said, "I can't believe you'd accuse me of that"? So I swallowed it. Let it rot inside me. I started noticing other things. Small things. Things I'd ignored before. Her phone was always on silent. Always. She'd check it constantly, during dinner, during movies, in the middle of conversations, but she never let me see the screen. "Who's texting you?" I asked once, trying to sound casual. "Just a client," she said, locking the screen. "This late?" "Wedding planning doesn't stop at 5 p.m. She said it with a smile. But it didn't reach her eyes. She started going to the gym. She'd never cared about the gym before. Suddenly she was going 3-4 times a week. Coming home flushed, glowing, happier than I'd seen her in months. "Good workout?" I'd ask. "Yeah. Really good." She never invited me to go with her. And then there were the receipts. I found one in her coat pocket by accident. I wasn't snooping. I was just doing laundry. A receipt from a restaurant downtown. Expensive. French. The kind of place you take someone when you want to impress them. 2 entrees. A bottle of wine. Dessert. The date was last Thursday. She told me she was working late. I put the receipt back. Hands shaking. I didn't say anything. What could I say? Maybe it was a client. Maybe it was nothing. But the receipt sat in my mind like a stone. Heavy. Undeniable. I started watching her more carefully. Noticing the way she'd light up when her phone buzzed. The way she'd disappear into the bathroom for 20 minutes, texting someone. The way she'd hum to herself while getting ready, like she had a secret she was savoring. She was happy. Just not with me. And that hurt more than anything else. Because I still loved her. God help me, I still loved her. I loved the version of her I thought I knew. The one who planted gardens and left notes and smiled at me like I was the only person in the world. But that version was gone. Or maybe she was never real to begin with. I'd lie there at night, staring at her back, and wonder when I became invisible. When did I stop being enough? When did us become her and someone else? I wanted to ask. I wanted to confront her. But I was terrified of the answer. Because deep down, I already knew. She'd left me months ago. I was just the last one to realize it. So I waited. For the proof I didn't want to find. For the moment everything would finally shatter. For the truth to stop hiding in receipts and perfume and late-night texts. And when it came quietly. In a wedding dress I'd never seen before. In a closet we shared. In a life she was building without me. The dress was the beginning. After I found it hanging in our closet, pristine, new, a size that wasn't mine, I started looking. Not because I wanted to. But because I couldn't stop. It started small. Innocent. I told myself I was just being thorough. Just checking. Just making sure I wasn't losing my mind. But you don't check when you trust someone. You only check when you already know. She left her phone on the kitchen counter one morning while she was in the shower. Face down. Like always. The screen was black, but I could hear the water running upstairs, the sound of her humming something soft and unfamiliar. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking. I knew her passcode. It was our anniversary. She'd set it years ago, back when that date still meant something. The phone unlocked. And everything broke. There was a text notification on the screen. From a contact saved as venue contact. I should have stopped there. I should have put the phone down. But I didn't. I opened the messages. The thread went back months. 8 months, I'd learn later. But in that moment, I just scrolled. And scrolled. And scrolled. Asterisk, can't wait to see you Friday. Asterisk. Asterisk, last night was perfect. I keep thinking about you. Asterisk. Asterisk, I wish things were different. I wish we didn't have to hide. Asterisk. Asterisk, soon. I promise. Just a little longer. Asterisk. The words blurred together. My chest felt tight. My throat closed. I scrolled further back. Photos. Dozens of them. Him and her at a restaurant. Her laughing, leaning into him. His arm around her shoulders. Him and her at a park. Her head on his shoulder. The sunset behind them. Him and her in a hotel room. The sheets tangled. Her hair messy. Her smile wide. I couldn't breathe. I kept scrolling. His name was David. He was a photographer she'd worked with on a wedding expo 6 months ago. Tall. Broad shoulders. Dark hair. The kind of guy who looked good in a suit. The kind of guy who knew it. Everything I wasn't. The messages were careful at first. Professional. But they shifted. Slowly. Then all at once. Asterisk, you're incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. Asterisk. Asterisk, I know this is complicated, but I've never felt like this before. Asterisk. Asterisk, I don't care that you're married. I just care about you. Asterisk. And then her replies. Asterisk, I feel the same way. Asterisk. Asterisk, I can't keep pretending anymore. Not with him. Asterisk. Asterisk, I wish I'd met you first. Asterisk. I sat down on the kitchen floor. The phone was still in my hand. I kept reading. There were plans. Dates. A future they were building in secret. And then I found it. A message from 3 weeks ago. Asterisk, I found the perfect dress. I tried it on today. I cried. I can't wait to wear it for you. Asterisk. The wedding dress. It wasn't for a client. It was for him. I scrolled further. My hands were numb. She called it a spiritual wedding. A vow renewal ceremony. Something private. Just them. No legal paperwork. No official record. Just a promise. While still married to me. The ceremony was planned for next month. A small venue upstate. A handful of their closest friends. People who knew. People who were helping her lie. She'd written vows. I read them. Every word. Asterisk, I thought I knew what love was. But then I met you. And I realized I'd been living in a shadow. You are my light. My truth. My future. Asterisk. Asterisk, I don't regret the past. It brought me to you. And I'd do it all again if it meant finding you. Asterisk. I stared at the screen until the words stopped making sense. My throat burned. My eyes stung. But I didn't cry. Not yet. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I should have put the phone down. Should have walked away. But I couldn't move. The bathroom door opened. Footsteps on the stairs. She walked into the kitchen, wrapped in a towel, hair dripping onto her shoulders. She saw me sitting on the floor. She saw the phone in my hand. For a moment, neither of us moved. Her face went pale. Her eyes widened. And then she said the worst thing she could have possibly said. It's not what you think. I laughed. It was a broken, bitter sound that surprised us both. It's not what I think. I repeated, my voice hollow. Emily, I just read 8 months of messages. I saw the photos. I read your vows. She flinched. You're planning a wedding, I said quietly. To someone else. While you're still married to me. It's not a real wedding, she said quickly, like that made it better. It's just symbolic. It's just what? I stood up. My legs felt weak. Just a way to pretend I don't exist. Her mouth opened. Closed. How long? I asked. She didn't answer. How long, Emily? 8 months, she whispered. 8 months. 2/3 of a year. Holidays. Birthdays. Our anniversary. All of it. Fake. Why didn't you just leave? I asked. My voice cracked. If you wanted him so badly, why didn't you just leave? She looked away. I didn't want to hurt you. I laughed again. Bitter. Sharp. You didn't want to hurt me. I repeated. You were planning a second wedding. You were writing vows to another man. You were building a life with him while I was sitting here, waiting for you to come home. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, you're not. I am. You're sorry you got caught, I said. That's all. She started crying. Real tears this time, I think. But they didn't move me. Not anymore. I handed her the phone. I want you gone by tomorrow. Wait. No. My voice cracked. You don't get to wait. You don't get to explain. You made your choice. Now live with it. She stood there, dripping water onto the tile, staring at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Or maybe she was. She left that night. Packed a suitcase. Took her car keys. Took nothing else. And I sat in the house we'd built together, surrounded by the pieces of a life that had never been real. The lavender in the garden was still blooming. But it didn't smell like anything anymore. I didn't yell. I wanted to. God, I wanted to scream until my throat bled. Wanted to break something. Wanted to make her feel even a fraction of the pain tearing through my chest. But the words came out quiet. Broken. How long? She stood there in the bathroom doorway, wrapped in a towel, water dripping from her hair onto the tile. Her face was pale. Her eyes were wide. She looked caught. Trapped. She didn't answer right away. Just stood there, staring at me like I was the one who'd done something wrong. Like I was the one who'd betrayed 6 years of marriage for someone who made better promises. How long, Emily? 8 months, she finally whispered. 8 months. The words hung in the air like smoke. Choking me. I did the math in my head. 8 months ago was February. Valentine's Day. She'd made reservations at our favorite restaurant. Bought me a card. Kissed me goodnight and told me she loved me. And she'd already met him. Already started lying. 8 months, I repeated, tasting the words. They were bitter. Rotten. That's 2/3 of a year. She flinched. That's holidays, I continued, my voice shaking. Thanksgiving. Christmas. My birthday. Our anniversary. I know. No. I stood up, legs trembling. You don't get to say you know. You don't know. You weren't the one sitting here thinking everything was fine while you were texting him. Planning a future with him. It's not. It's not what? I snapped. Not that bad? Not a big deal? What, Emily? What possible excuse do you have? She looked away. I didn't plan for this to happen. But it did. I know. So why didn't you just leave? I asked. The question came out desperate. Pleading. If you wanted him so badly, why didn't you just tell me? Why keep me around? She wrapped her arms around herself. I didn't want to hurt you. I laughed. It was a sharp, bitter sound that surprised us both. You didn't want to hurt me? I repeated. Emily, you were planning a second wedding. Writing vows to another man. You were going to stand in front of people and promise him forever while I was at home thinking we still had a chance. It's not legal, she said quickly, like that made it better. It's just symbolic. It's just a way for us to. To what? I cut her off. To pretend I don't exist? To erase me? She flinched again. That's what this is, isn't it? I said, my voice rising. You wanted him without the mess of leaving me. You wanted to have it both ways. That's not. Then what is it? I demanded. Explain it to me. Make it make sense. Because right now, all I see is someone who lied to me every single day for 8 months. Someone who came home and kissed me goodnight while texting him. Someone who let me believe we were okay when you'd already checked out. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I am. You're sorry you got caught, I said flatly. That's all. She shook her head. That's not true. Isn't it? I stepped closer. If I hadn't found that dress, you would have kept lying. You would have gone to that ceremony. Made those vows. And you would have come home to me like nothing happened. She didn't deny it. And that hurt more than anything she could have said. I loved you, I whispered. My voice cracked. I loved you so much, Emily. I built my entire life around you. I turned down jobs so I could be home. I learned how you liked your tea. I memorized your favorite songs. I thought that's what love was. Showing up. Paying attention. You did, she said softly. You were. I was what? I interrupted. Not enough? Boring? Safe? She looked away. Say it, I pressed. Tell me the truth. What was it about me that made you leave? I didn't leave. You did, I said. You left months ago. I just didn't know it. She started crying then. Real tears. Her shoulders shook. She covered her face with her hands. But I didn't move to comfort her. Not this time. I don't know what happened, she said through her tears. I don't know when it changed. But I felt stuck. Like I was going through the motions. And then I met him, and he made me feel alive again. Alive, I repeated. The word tasted like poison. So I made you feel dead. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant, I said. I bored you. So you found someone who didn't. She didn't deny it. I picked up her phone from the counter. Handed it to her. I want you gone by tomorrow. Her head snapped up. What? You heard me. I want you out of this house by tomorrow. Wait. No. My voice was steel. You don't get to wait. You don't get to explain. You made your choice. Please, she whispered. Can we just talk about this? There's nothing to talk about, I said. You planned a wedding with someone else. You wrote vows to him. You've been lying to me for 8 months. What's left to say? She reached for me. I stepped back. Don't. Her hand dropped. I need time, she said. To figure things out. To find a place. You have until tomorrow, I repeated. Pack your things. Leave your key. And don't come back. She stared at me, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered again. But I was done hearing it. She left that night. Packed a suitcase in silence while I sat on the couch, staring at the wall. She took her clothes. Her laptop. Her car keys. She left everything else. The photos on the walls. The books arranged by color. The lavender in the garden. The notes I'd kept in the shoebox. The life we'd built. She left it all behind. And when the door clicked shut behind her, the house fell silent. So silent I could hear my own heartbeat. I sat there for hours. Didn't move. Didn't cry. Just sat. Surrounded by the pieces of a life that had never been real. Wondering how I'd missed it. Wondering when I stopped being enough. Wondering if I ever was. The first month was the worst. I moved through the house like a stranger, like I was walking through a museum of someone else's life. Everything reminded me of her. The coffee mugs lined up on the shelf, hers was the blue one with the chipped handle. The lavender in the garden, now overgrown and tangled, blooming in wild, unkempt patches. The photos on the walls that I couldn't bring myself to look at but also couldn't take down. Not yet. I told myself I'd do it eventually. That I'd box everything up, donate her things, repaint the walls, and start over. But every morning I'd wake up and the photos were still there. Staring at me. Mocking me. So I started small. I took down the wedding photo first. The one of us on the bridge at sunset, her in that simple white dress, me in a suit I'd borrowed from my brother. We looked so happy. So sure. I put it in a box. Taped it shut. Shoved it in the closet. Then the engagement photo. Then the one from our honeymoon. Then every picture that had her face in it. The walls looked bare. Wounded. Like something had been ripped away. Which it had. I donated her clothes next. Filled garbage bags with dresses and sweaters and shoes she'd left behind. Took them to Goodwill without looking inside the bags. I couldn't. If I saw the cream sweater with the coffee stain, or the dress she wore on our first anniversary, I'd lose my nerve. So I just dropped them off and drove away. The garden was harder. The lavender she'd planted was still blooming. Wild and fragrant and beautiful. I'd stand at the kitchen window every morning, staring at it, hating it, wanting to rip it all out. But I couldn't. Not yet. I repainted the bedroom instead. Covered the soft grey she'd chosen with something neutral. Beige. Forgettable. I thought erasing her would help. It didn't. Because she wasn't just in the photos or the clothes or the paint color. She was in the silence. In the empty space beside me in bed. In the way I still made 2 cups of coffee every morning out of habit, only to pour one down the sink. In the way I'd reach for my phone to text her something funny and then remember. She was everywhere. And nowhere. My friends try to check in. They'd call. Text. Show up at the door with food I didn't eat and concern I didn't want. "You need to talk to someone," my best friend, Sam, said one night, sitting on my couch uninvited. "I'm fine," I lied. "You're not." I said I'm fine. He left after that. I didn't blame him. My family called too. My mom. My sister. Even my brother, who never called. I sent them all to voicemail. I didn't want comfort. I didn't want pity. I didn't want people telling me it would get better or that I deserved better or that time heals all wounds. I wanted silence. I wanted to disappear into the weight of it. To let it crush me. Because at least then I'd feel something. But then, one night, while going through old files on my computer, looking for a design project I'd never finished, I found something. A folder labeled Ease Event Drafts. I stared at it for a long time before I opened it. Inside were dozens of files. Event proposals she'd created for clients. Weddings. Galas. Corporate retreats. Some were polished and professional. Others were rough sketches, half-formed ideas she'd been working on. And embedded in every single one was my work. Logos I'd designed for her. Layouts I'd mocked up as favors. Color palettes I'd spent hours perfecting. Concepts I'd brainstormed with her at 2 a.m. when she was stuck and panicking about a deadline. She'd used them all. Presented them as her own. Built her career on my invisible labor. I scrolled through file after file, my hands shaking. There were emails too. Correspondence with clients. Proposals she'd sent. Contracts she'd signed. My work was in all of it. And my name was in none of it. She'd erased me. Not just from her life. From her work. From the thing I'd helped her build. I sat there in the dark, staring at the screen, and felt something shift inside me. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't even anger. It was clarity. She didn't just betray me emotionally. She betrayed me professionally. She'd taken my work, my ideas, my time, and used them to build herself up while keeping me in the shadows. And I'd let her. Because I loved her. Because I thought that's what you did for the person you loved. You helped them. You supported them. You gave without asking for anything in return. But she'd taken everything. And given nothing back. I closed the laptop. Sat in the dark. And made a decision. I wasn't going to disappear. I wasn't going to let her erase me. Not anymore. The next morning, I started reaching out. I contacted every client she'd worked with in the past 3 years. Sent calm, professional emails introducing myself as the designer behind the visuals they'd loved. I attached original files. Timestamped drafts. Process notes. Proof. Most were shocked. Some were angry on my behalf. A few apologized for not knowing. For assuming the work was hers. And a few quietly stopped working with her. Word spread. Fast. Within a week, I had 3 new clients. Within a month, I had 10. People wanted to work with someone who valued authenticity. Someone who actually cared about their vision. Someone who didn't steal credit. I rebranded. Built a portfolio that was entirely mine. Started teaching design workshops on the side, small, intimate classes where I helped other creatives find their voice. I stopped hiding. And the more visible I became, the quieter her world got. I didn't gloat. Didn't post about it on social media. Didn't send her a message rubbing it in. I didn't need to. Because success, I learned, is the loudest silence. 3 months later, I got an email from one of her former clients. Asterisk, just wanted to let you know, we ended our contract with Emily. After learning the truth, we didn't feel comfortable continuing. We've hired you instead. Looking forward to working together. Asterisk. I stared at the email for a long time. And then I smiled. Not because I'd won. But because I'd finally stopped losing. I walked out to the garden that evening. Stood in front of the lavender. And for the first time, I didn't see her. I saw something I could change. So I pulled it all out. Every stem. Every root. And I planted something new. Something that was mine. I didn't go after her publicly. I didn't need to. I went after my work. The portfolio I built was deliberate. Intentional. Every piece told a story, not hers, but mine. I included process notes, early sketches, client testimonials that mentioned me by name. I made myself visible in a way I'd never been before. I wasn't hiding anymore. I reached out to every single client she'd worked with over the past 3 years. I crafted careful, professional emails that didn't trash her but made the truth undeniable. I introduced myself as the designer behind the logos they loved, the color schemes they'd complimented, the layouts that had made their events memorable. I attached proof. Original files. Drafts with metadata showing my name and timestamps. Side-by-side comparisons of my work and the proposals she'd presented. The responses came fast. Most were shocked. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. If we'd known, we would have credited you. Some were angry on my behalf. This is unacceptable. We're ending our contract with her immediately. A few asked if I was available for their next project. I said yes every time. Within 3 weeks, I had 5 new clients. Within 2 months, I had 15. Word spread in the event planning world. It's a small industry. People talk. And when someone builds their career on stolen work, people remember. Her reputation started cracking. I didn't have to do anything. The truth did the work for me. I rebranded completely. Created a new logo. A new website. A new social media presence that showcased my process, my philosophy, my voice. I wasn't just a designer anymore. I was a collaborator. A partner. Someone who listened to clients and helped them bring their vision to life, without erasing them in the process. I started teaching, too. Small design workshops at a local community center. Nothing fancy. Just an hour every Saturday morning where I'd walk people through the basics, color theory, typography, how to use design software without feeling overwhelmed. The first class had 3 people. The second had 10. By the 3rd month, I had a waiting list. People didn't just want to learn design. They wanted to learn from someone who valued honesty. Who credited collaborators. Who didn't pretend success was a solo act. They wanted someone real. And I gave them that. I stopped hiding my process. Stopped pretending everything came easy. I posted rough drafts online. Talked about the projects that flopped. Shared the moments when I had no idea what I was doing and had to figure it out on the fly. People responded. My following grew. Slowly at first. Then faster. Couples planning weddings reached out. Event coordinators who wanted a designer they could trust. Small businesses who needed branding but didn't want someone who'd take their ideas and run. I said yes to everything I could handle. And I turned down everything I couldn't. Because I'd learned the hard way what happened when you overextended yourself for someone else's dream. You disappeared. I wasn't disappearing anymore. I hired an assistant, a young designer fresh out of school who reminded me of myself at that age. Eager. Talented. Unsure of her worth. I paid her fairly. Credited her on every project. Taught her everything I'd learned. She cried the first time she saw her name listed as a collaborator on a client proposal. No one's ever done that before, she said. They should have, I replied. The business grew. I moved out of the house Emily and I had shared. Too many ghosts. Too many memories I couldn't erase no matter how much I repainted. I found a small apartment downtown. Bare walls. Hardwood floors. Big windows that let in light. It felt like starting over. It felt like breathing. I didn't hear from Emily directly. But I heard about her. Through clients who dropped her. Through mutual acquaintances who mentioned, casually, that her business was struggling. That she'd lost several big contracts. That people were asking questions about her work. I didn't gloat. Didn't send her a message. Didn't post anything smug online. I didn't need to. Because the best revenge, I learned, wasn't hurting her. It was building something she couldn't touch. 6 months after she left, I got an email from a bride I'd worked with, a woman whose wedding Emily had planned 2 years ago. Hi. I just found out you designed everything for my wedding. I had no idea, I thought it was all Emily's work. I'm so sorry. If I ever need design work again, I'm coming straight to you. You're incredibly talented. I stared at that email for a long time. And then I replied. Thank you. That means more than you know. I framed the email. Hung it on my office wall. Not as a trophy. But as a reminder. That my work mattered. That my name mattered. That I didn't need to hide anymore. 7 months in, I was invited to speak at a design conference. A small one. Regional. But still. Someone thought my story was worth hearing. I almost said no. Imposter syndrome whispered that I wasn't ready, that I didn't belong on a stage, that people would see through me. But then I thought about the version of myself who'd stayed quiet for years. Who'd let someone else take credit. Who'd believed love meant disappearing. And I said yes. I talked about collaboration. About giving credit. About the danger of making yourself invisible for someone else's success. The room was quiet when I finished. And then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room. Afterward, people came up to me. Shook my hand. Thanked me for being honest. For talking about something most people kept quiet. One woman, a designer in her 50s, squeezed my hand and said, "I needed to hear that. Thank you." I didn't cry until I got back to my apartment. But when I did, they weren't sad tears. They were relief. Because I'd done it. I'd rebuilt. Not for her. Not to prove anything. But for me. And that was enough. A year later, she called. I was in the middle of a design review with a client when my phone buzzed. I ignored it. But when the meeting ended and I checked, her name was on the screen. One missed call. No voicemail. I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to delete it. Block her number. Pretend I'd never seen it. But curiosity won. Or maybe it wasn't curiosity. Maybe it was the part of me that still needed to know if she felt anything. If she regretted it. If any of it had been real. I called her back. She picked up on the first ring. "Hi," she said softly. Her voice was the same. Quiet. Careful. Like she was stepping on glass. I didn't say anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, she continued. I leaned back in my chair. Stared at the ceiling. For what? I asked. For everything. For what I did. For how I left. For lying to me for 8 months. I interrupted. For planning a wedding with someone else while we were still married? For stealing my work. She was quiet for a moment. Yes, she whispered. For all of it. I waited. I saw your work, she said. You're doing really well. Your website. Your workshops. The clients you're working with. I'm proud of you. Something inside me snapped. Don't, I said quietly. Don't what? Don't act like you get to be proud. You don't get to be part of this. There was a long silence. I know, she said finally. I know I don't. I wanted you to know that I see what you've built. And it's incredible. It's mine, I said. That's the difference. She didn't respond. Why are you calling, Emily? I asked. What do you want? I don't want anything, she said. I've been thinking about you. About us. About what happened. And I wanted to apologize. I know it doesn't change anything. I know it doesn't fix what I did. But I needed to say it. I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I closed my eyes. Are you still with him? I asked. She hesitated. No, she said quietly. We broke up 3 months ago. I didn't feel anything when she said it. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just nothing. Why? I asked. It didn't work out, she said. Turns out building a relationship on a lie doesn't make for a strong foundation. I almost laughed. Almost. Funny how that works, I said. I know I hurt you, she whispered. I know what I did was unforgivable. I want you to know it wasn't all fake. Some of it was real. I opened my eyes. Maybe, I said. But that's your burden to carry. Not mine. What do you mean? I mean you get to live with the knowledge that you threw away something real for something temporary. You get to wonder if you made the right choice. You get to look back and question whether any of it was worth it. I already do, she said, her voice breaking. Every day. Good, I said. It came out harsher than I intended. But I didn't take it back. I didn't call to make you feel sorry for me, she said. I know I don't deserve that. I wanted to hear your voice. To know you're okay. I'm more than okay, I said. I'm better than I've been in years. I'm glad, she whispered. Are you? I asked. Are you really glad? Or do you just wish things had turned out differently? She didn't answer. Because here's the thing, Emily, I continued. I spent months wondering what I did wrong. What I could have done differently. How I could have been enough. And then I realized, it was never about me. It was always about you. Your choices. Your lies. Your inability to be honest. I know. I'm not finished, I said. You called to apologize. Fine. Apology noted. But it doesn't change anything. You don't get to be part of my life. You don't get to check in. You don't get to feel better because you said sorry. I'm not trying to. Yes, you are, I said. You're trying to ease your guilt. But that's not my job. I'm not here to make you feel better about what you did. There was a long silence. You're right, she said finally. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called. No, I said. You shouldn't have. I hope you find someone who deserves you, she said quietly. I already did, I replied. You're seeing someone? I'm seeing myself, I said. And that's enough. She didn't say anything. Goodbye, Emily. Wait. I hung up, blocked her number, and sat there in my office, surrounded by designs I'd created, clients I'd earned, a life I'd built without her. I didn't feel angry. Didn't feel sad. I felt free. Because I'd finally let go of the need for her to understand. For her to apologize. For her to validate that what we had was real. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was what I'd built after she left. That evening, I drove to a nursery across town. Spent an hour walking through rows of flowers, picking out things I liked. Bright colors. Bold blooms. Things that didn't remind me of her. I planted them in the garden that weekend. Dug up the last remnants of the lavender she'd planted. Filled the space with something new. Something mine. When I finished, I stood back and looked at it. The garden didn't look like ours anymore. It looked like mine. And when spring came, the flowers bloomed. Bright, bold, unapologetic. Not for her. Not for anyone else. For me.